All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have another real talk, and I'm coming at you to discuss range gear and things that I think are essential for the range, especially when I'm going to train. There's just certain things, if I forget them at home, I'm just like, I'm really kicking myself for doing that. And a lot of times I just keep this stuff in my truck, just loaded up, ready to go, because it's not firearms, it's just everything else that kind of complements that. So we're not going to go to any particular order. I'm just going to go based off of what I can remember. So forgive me if I have a long pause because I'm thinking of something or I forgot a thought, but we'll just start with the obvious, which is shot timer. And this is something that I've neglected for a lot of years because I didn't want to spend the money on a shot timer, never had one, and I never trained with one. I didn't understand how important it was for training and actually measuring where you're at in your skill set and improving based off of that. And just it's not you versus anybody else. It's you versus you yesterday. So that's a way we can measure where we're at with our training and with our skill set, and we can improve based off of those times. And it's not like you can't have a bad day, but the shot timer is a really great tool for giving you a benchmark for where you might be at. Or actually, when you see guys like Lucas or Sage Dynamics or these guys who give out a lot of free training advice and drills and whatnot that you can train on, it's cool to see where you stand up against some of these professional shooters or instructors. So that is something that I got into recently, and I really loved. Now I can't go to the range without my shot timer. So that's the number one thing. Obviously, guns, ammo, eye pro, ear pro, that goes without saying. But good eye pro is underrated. If you have like some scratch up glasses, you're trying to shoot at distance, it doesn't help at all. Um, some other things that are really important to take to the range. I have a range bag from Save Your Equipment, and in there, they don't sponsor the channel, but I just paid for that one on my own. But in there, I keep fix-it sticks and some Weehaw bits, some star bits as well. So I like Weehaw bits. They're made in Germany. They fit really well. You want to get good quality bits if you're working on expensive gun parts, because last thing you want to do is strip out a screw or something in your receiver of your Scar 17. So I keep those in there. They have some little torque, like little torque pieces for different inch pound ratings for like torquing your scope down, things like that. So if anything comes loose when you're at the range, I don't know about you guys, but I have to drive pretty far to the range. I got about an hour and 10-minute drive to my favorite range, RPR, up there in Burnett, Texas. Big shout out to RPR, Andrea, love them up there. And so if I drive up there, I'm an hour and 10 minutes away, and this is the one day of the week I get to go to the range, and I have a bunch of stuff to do, and I have a loose scope, or like I have one screw that's loose, or I want to move this over here, or that, whatever it might be. Having those is a lifesaver. So that's an underrated piece of kit, is just having some tools to work on your guns while you're at the range. And you should probably keep that in your go bag as well, whatever, or maybe in your plate carrier, whatever you use, your chest rig. It wouldn't hurt to have some tools on you as well. So shot timer, some tools, and that goes for anything. Like if you're taking suppressors as well, take the wrenches for your suppressors. If your suppressor starts to back off, let's say for instance a chemo mount, like the Sierra 5, I rock set it onto the chemo mount, but if it ever came loose, for instance, at the range, and started tactical Morocco on me again, I can just use my wrenches and tighten it up, or whatever. So it goes for suppressors as well. If you're shooting at, okay, well, before we get to distance, let's talk about slings. Again, kind of an obvious one, slings and holsters. So a holster for your pistol, a sling is a holster for your rifle. Again, pretty obvious there. Let's talk about something else that's more pertaining to long range. Well, before I do that, lubrication. If you run an AR-15, most likely it's good to have lubrication, especially if you're running suppressed. Last thing you want to do is have your gun continuously malfunctioning, jamming on you. So I keep a little bottle of lube in my truck with some ammo. I do tend to keep a little bit of ammo just in the back, but that's just because I don't feel like taking it in and out all the time. So what else do we keep? Okay, so for going to long range type stuff, guys, if you don't have a bipod on your gun, it's really important to have sandbags, especially if you're zeroing, not even for long range, just to zero your optics. It really helps to have sandbags. And I like to have a bipod up front and a sandbag in the rear. That's just my preference. I don't like lead sleds, but that is something that makes your zero a true zero. If you can get on a bipod, if you can lay in the prone, even better. I tend to sit on the shooting tables at RPR, but prone is the best way to shoot. Lay in the prone, sandbag in the rear, bipod up front. If you can't use a bipod in the front, just throw like your range bag down or a backpack or something to brace the rifle in the front, and then a sandbag. If you can't afford a sandbag, then fill up a sock with rice and use that as a sandbag. Okay, I feel like I'm and remember the Titans. If you don't own a suit, get your daddy's suit. If you don't have a daddy, borrow one from the bum on the street. Um, so, anyways, that's another thing. Sandbags are really great, and pertaining to long range as well, something that's really changed the game completely is a spotting scope. And I might as well just grab this since it is right here, literally an eye shot. This thing has absolutely changed the game for me for long range, especially for filming long range shots for you guys, because I have the mag view scope cap on the front, which is magnetic. My phone just literally magnetized, like just sticks to this, and I can film right through it. But this thing absolutely changes the game for especially calling wind. RPR is very windy, and the wind, it's like a big canyon, so the wind where you're at is different from the wind out by the targets and everywhere in between. So this helped tremendously in extending my effective range. You always heard the old term, the spotter is more important than the shooter, and that is true. I found that to be true. I'm usually on the gun, and if I have a good spotter, I'm usually getting good hits. And if I don't have a good spotter, then I mean, the guy calls the wrong miss. If you pulled a good shot and you miss right, and he says you missed left, or you missed, just half a target low, and he tells you you're 3 targets low, then obviously your adjustments are not going to be right. So a good spotting scope is a godsend. This is the Vortex Diamondback. This is the 20 to 60 by 85. This is like their cheapest one. It's $500, still expensive, but this kind of changed the game for me for long range, and it makes going to RPR so much more fun when I could film those targets as well without having to take the drone out there. So really cool spotting scope. And then I guess we'll just talk about the tripod too. So Death Grip tripod really helps, whether it's for the spotting scope or for your rifle. A nice, good quality tripod. That's like one of the cheapest ones in the market. It came with the actual clamp that you like use a wheel and you spun it and it squeezed your gun down. But I switched it out for the Zero Fox Given ball head with the Arca Swiss mount on top, just for a little bit quicker attaching, detaching, a little bit cleaner look for videos. Is it 100% necessary? No, but it makes it easier when you're trying to take, off-kilter shots. If you're hunting with them, it definitely really helps. But for what I'm doing, I don't really need it, but I do like the convenience of it. So, but a good tripod is going to help you, whether it's for shooting again or for spotting, whatever it is. A tripod is kind of a requirement for spotting, especially. Shooting, you could have your bipod and whatnot and go prone, but for spotting with a spotting scope, you really do need some kind of stable um, mechanism for holding it. So let's see, what else do we usually run? So gloves are always good to have, especially if you're running cans and things are getting hot. You don't want to use just regular gloves. I have a famous clip on my channel where I like mag dumped. I think it was only like 2 mags in, or maybe so 60 rounds in with the Ferox, and I went to just make sure it was tight, and I just singed my hand, and although the glove saved my life because my hand. I mean, I wouldn't have done it without the glove, but I had no idea it was that hot after 60 rounds. But it was being mag dumped through a Mark 18 10.3-inch barrel, so I should have known better. I learned my lesson. We've all touched the forbidden popsicle at least once. But gloves are good to have for, for just when your gun's getting hot. It's nice to have some gloves, especially on a vertical foregrip on there. What else do we got here? So talk about the sandbag targets. Really important to have targets. I like the cardboard targets that have the A zone because everyone kind of trains on those that are standard for a lot of shooting competitions as well. So if you're trying to rein in your skills, that's really good to have. I also love TA targets. They're steel targets. I have one of their 3/4-inch 550 AR 550 steel reduced C zone with the hostage in the back. So that's really great to have because it's just so much fun to shoot steel. As you guys all know, if you ever shot steel, you already know how fun it is to shoot steel, especially a small plate like that because it is already so slim. It is only about, like, I don't know how many inches, maybe 10 inches. One of you guys are gonna call me out. It's 10. It's a 30% reduced C zone. So I don't know if it's 30% of a C zone or it's 70% of a full size C zone, but it's about yay big compared to me, and about yay tall. So it is not very big, but it is. So like if I'm hitting that while I'm running and gunning, that is pretty much an A zone. Like if you just cut like the head box, if you went straight down, it's probably what the width of the A zone is on one of those USPSA targets. So it's a relatively small target, and because it's relatively small and not just a giant, the full size of like a giant target is, it makes me feel that I'm not cheating as much when I'm shooting at it. But if you want more precise shooting, then you just aim for the hostage target, which is really cool. And shooting steels is awesome. With that comes lugging around 2x4s. Go to Home Depot, get a 12-foot 2x4, cut it into 3 4-foot sections, and then you have those, just throw them in the back because eventually that spall will eventually cut through your 2x4 and you'll have to replace it. So let's see, what else do we have, guys? I think I covered most of it. And if I'm blanking on anything, you guys let me know. Let me know what you guys take to the range. What are your range essentials? Obviously, a good range bag is really, essential to have. Um, I kind of keep a lot of this stuff in my vehicle just for this reason. Obviously, I'm not mentioning all the other stuff like my cameras, my mics, all this other stuff that goes into my tripod for my camera, my memory cards. I've been to the range so many times where I forgot my memory card, and I'm just like, all right, screw it. I guess we're leaving. Sorry, you guys came here for the $4,000 camera, but I'm just filming it on my iPhone because I don't have time to go home and grab the memory card and come back out. But that's pretty much it, guys. Let me know what you guys take to the range. What's your favorite thing, or what's something that you continually forget to bring to the range and you always regret it? Lately, I've been thinking about doubling up on Ear Pro, using some inner Ear Pro and then some outer stuff. The outer stuff's cool, but once you start to do long range and you're really getting down onto a stock, it kind of gets in the way a little bit and you break the seal a little bit. And so I got tinnitus in both ears. So I'm trying to limit that because once you lose your hearing, you never get it back. That is one thing I've been trying to do more and more when I go to the range, is doubling up on Ear Pro. But besides that, guys, I think that covers everything. If I left anything out, I might put it in the description below. But let me know what you guys take to the range and what's your favorite stuff to take to the range. With that being said, guys, if you like these videos, you want to support the channel, there's 4 ways you can do so. There's the super thanks. It is like Patreon, but right here on YouTube. Just right below the video, you can add it's like a super thanks, and then you just put a comment in, and I get to see it, and everyone gets to see what you contributed to the channel. So a big thank you to anyone who does that. And then we have the Brownells discount code RDB10. That saves you guys 10% off an order of $150 or more over at brownells.com. And then that's unlimited. You can reuse that code as many times as you want, share it with your friends, and yeah, save some money over on Brownells. Big supporters of the channel, so big shout out to them. And then you can go to rangedaybro.com for any merch you might like. And then lastly, liking, commenting, subscribing. It's so played out, but it does help to push these videos out, get more like-minded individuals talking and thinking about these things, and hopefully not forgetting to bring their whatever XYZ to the range with them. So love you guys. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.